Iburu, Iboya, Ibuche, everybody in Cyberland. It's your favorite Babalao. At least I hope so. Omodun, Odileke, coming at you with another sequel to the Help Me, Help You. Particularly for this one, I was excited to do because I enjoy this sign. I like this sign. Why? Because this sign has a lot of manipulation through all the layers of our philosophy. Particularly, if a person with this sign wants to go to Ocha, they can get crowned, but they got to get crowned a little differently. And I don't want to get into secrets, which makes them prime to go to Ifa, so they're primed and ready to go. But anyway, this sign particularly that I'm gonna go over, it reflects a child. And when we do signs with children, we have to evaluate where they're at in the stages of their life, because in the stages of their life is no different than the stages of our lives today. For example, when we're young, we get taught how to conduct ourselves. We get taught how to crawl, how to walk. We get taught manners. We get taught right and wrong, ethics, morals. Those things are very important. So when we think about children, we got to think about them in the same sense. They have to grow into something, and we have to be able to complement their life sign and understand that we're complementing that life sign on how we're raising them. And that's why in our tradition, typically you see children at a young age receive their mano de orula. Children at a young age are sometimes even getting half crowned while the mom is still pregnant. There's a lot of different aspects to our faith on why we do things the moment the child comes out the womb. All right? So let's jump right into it. The sign I want to talk about is Okana Yeku. Okana Yeku with Omo Yemaya. So we have Okana Yeku, we got the guardian. Okay, and what does this mean? Okana Yeku was pretty much the line that totes between positive and negative. Okana Yeku has the ability to flip and be something contrary to what they are today, and then they will do the same thing tomorrow. Okana Yeku's got to be very, very, very careful, and they must always remember to compliment and always give thanks to Ishu. And the reason why we give thanks to Ishu is so Ishu could kind of keep away some of those barriers. So Ishu becomes a pretty strong ally when it comes to Okana Yeku. But Okana Yeku has to remember Ishu. And Okana Yeku is going to have to put himself, even with Mano de Orula, without being a priest or a priestess, Okana Yeku, okay? Especially with Yemaya, who is one of the older divinities, all right, has a responsibility, almost like a priest and a priestess, which means that they have to be very considerate to Ishu. All right, so that means that in the beginning of the day, they're no different than the priest and priestess say, Oyumba to Olodumare, all right? We give tribute to God. He has to give tribute to God, give tribute to Ishu, give tribute to everybody, especially his head. Okana Yeku. The reason what makes Okana Yeku such a difficult sign to manage, and why they're able to flip from positive to negative so quickly, and for parents, when you're raising an Okana Yeku as a child up, this is where you gotta be on top of it. There's no wiggle room, all right? There's no room for spoiling. Okana Yekus don't deserve that. They need to know from the door what's right and wrong, and they need to be able to push forward and understand that there's consequences. So, parents, you have a huge responsibility there. Okana Yeku is where the wrath of the Orishas was created. This is where the Orishas, even Changon or Rumila, themselves began to work with powder and began to do bad things to people. Which goes against the philosophies and on the guidance and in the principles of who they are. And to just give you a snapshot of what type of sign this is, because it was born in this sign where some of those things occurred. In this sign, Olodumare held all Orishas accountable for their actions. It was in this sign that his wrath is the one that set the divinity straight. In this sign, we must understand that because you have Omo Yemaya, and when we talk about Yemaya, we'll call it what it is. The witches of the witches. Huge pack with eguns. Yemaya can do tons of things. So there's a lot going on there. To the point where Ogun needs to be a strong ally in Okana Yeku. I could talk all day on Okana Yeku. But Okana Yeku, long story short, if Okana Yeku does things right, parents do things right, they raise the kid right and everything else, Okana Yeku is a force not to be messed with. Okana Yeku, when gained the balance of what is his spirituality and what is life offering him, Okana Yeku will walk with divinities around them, not only for good but for bad. They will defend him to the most crucial extent. They will take care of him, especially because in this sign is where the Egun, we talk about Ishu, we talk about Ogun, we talk about Rumila, we talk about Chango, we talk about a lot of divinities that are reacting to this sign. Okana Yeku has a good army behind them, but that army could be used for good or could be used for bad. And if it goes bad, Olodumare is watching and will hold them accountable. So that's very, very careful. That's why in this sign it says, don't play with fire, don't play with guns, don't play with knives. Try to keep those things away. Okana Yeku, again, because it's a wrath, because it's tragedy, because it has a lot of those elements around Okana Yeku, we want to make sure that we remove some of those energies or some of those taboos, those evils away, if that makes sense. So, with that said, Okana Yeku, beautiful sign. Okana Yeku has a lot of different things. Okana Yeku, don't get me wrong, is still a beautiful sign. In this sign itself, it talks about where Yemaya turns all fire with her waters. Because Yemaya can calm the world down. The world's made up of water, guys, gals. Yemaya is the perfect guardian to complement Okana Yeku. So Okana Yeku's out there. Hear me out. Tote the line properly. Be righteous. Be ethical. Be moral. Okay, understand the spirituality and the powers that you have with you, and that's a responsibility. Do not be tempted to do things that you shouldn't do. Don't do bad. Okana Yeku should not do bad. Why? Because you're not going to be held accountable by anyone else but God himself. So Okana Yeku, that's my advice to you. Beautiful sign. Yemaya, we talked about. Again, Yemaya complements the sign. Yemaya is the one that's going to calm that sign down. Something I want to give a little snapshot. Something for Okana Yekuns. When Okana Yekuns are feeling down, they got some work they need to do. Okana Yekun should give a white yam and throw some palm oil, right? And give it to Ishu. Give it to Ishu. And then you're going to get a white yam and you're going to take cocoa butter. And you're going to rub cocoa butter all around it, right? And or shea butter. And you're going to give it to Obatala. Light them up. Your biggest allies. Obatala will clear your mind, make sure you do the right thing. Ishu will keep all those trials away because you're giving passage to him. It's a little tip for you. Alright, with that said, that's Okana Yekun with Omo Yemaya. Okana Yekun, Omo Yemaya. Alright, with Buru, Iboya, Ibucheche. Hit me a like, give me a share. La Regla de Ifa at gmail.com. You guys need anything, hit me up. That's la.regla.de.ifa at gmail.com. Iburu, Iboya, Ibucheche, Bendiciones, and Ache to you all. Thanks for tuning in. Ache.